Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build a very simple, very cheap, and extremely easy to build iron farm for your Bedrock Edition worlds. This iron farm is upgradable over time if you want to make it faster and better, but if you build the extremely basic one floor model with 10 villagers, then you'll still get about 240 iron per hour. But if you decide to upgrade the farm to its maximum using 2 floors and 20 villagers, which takes very little effort by the way, then you'll get up to 440 iron per hour. Overall, this farm is so simple and easy to build that you should be able to throw it together within the first day or two of your Minecraft world. Overall, I think this will serve you very well, and I hope you enjoy this build in your worlds. So let's take a look at this simple iron farm, shall we? As you can see, we just have one spawning platform up at the top here. This is larger than my previous one chunk farm, but if you're building such a small iron farm of one layer, you really do want it to be larger. That way you have more chances for the golems to spawn. All of our beds are right above the center here, so the only place that your golems will spawn is on the platform. You should never have any underneath the platform or around the farm or anything like that. All of our villagers are contained in this one little pod right here. There is 10 of them in there. They all have access to their workstations and can work at all times. That way you always get iron golems. And then we simply have the kill chamber. All of the iron golems and cats will go into the chamber. They'll fall down. The golems will die from the lava. The cats will die from the campfire. And you'll get yourself a lot of iron, string, and poppies. I'm sure the question on your mind is, how much iron do you get from this farm and how do you go about getting that? Furthermore, how can I get more iron from my iron farm? Well, that is a very, very simple thing. This iron farm comes with 3 different stages of completion: basic, intermediate, and final. Depending on what version of the farm you build, your rates will vary. So if you build the ultra basic version of the farm with 1 spawning layer and 10 villagers, you'll get about 240 or so iron per hour. That is over 3.5 stacks of iron per hour, which is very good for a lot of starter worlds, intermediate projects, and just basic iron supply. If you decide to upgrade the farm to the intermediate version using 2 layers and 10 villagers, then you'll get around 280 iron per hour. There's really no reason not to put a second spawning layer on it. You'll get 4.5 stacks of iron per hour. If you decide to complete the farm and build the final version with 2 layers and 20 villagers, that'll provide up to 440 iron per hour, which is nearly 7 stacks of iron. A very, very good investment, but maybe you won't be able to build the final version of the farm when you initially start this project. Let's quickly go over the mechanics of how an iron farm works. Knowing how and why your iron farm works is a very important thing. That way you can determine how and why it might be breaking in your world and how you can possibly fix it as well. There are 4 very basic mechanics that go into building an iron farm on the Bedrock Edition. First of all, you need a village. A village is literally just 1 villager and a bed. That will create a village in your world as long as the villager links to the bed. As you can see, if we break this, that guy gets the storm cloud particles. If we place it down, he gets the green particles, and that means that we now have ourselves a village. Your village needs at least 20 beds in order to spawn iron golems, and that's why we have so many beds up in the middle of the farm. Your village also needs a minimum of 10 villagers to then spawn an iron golem. So 10 villagers, 20 beds. Super simple. Now, for every 10 villagers that are in your village, you can have 1 iron golem. So if we have 20 villagers and 20 beds, we can then have 2 iron golems in our build, as you can see there. That is why the final version of the farm gets so much more iron than the basic 10 villager model. Iron golems can spawn really, really quickly on the Bedrock Edition, but they do not die that quickly. So being able to have 2 at the same time really, really helps with your rates. And finally, there is the workstations. Villagers need to be able to work, and they have to work in order to spawn iron golems. To be precise, 75% of the villagers in your village need to have worked in the previous day for you to have iron golems spawn. So if your villagers are too far away from your workstations, or if you don't have any at all, you're not going to get a single golem in your farm. And one final detail is that you cannot have more villagers than beds. If you have 21 villagers but only 20 beds in your farm, you're not going to get any iron golems because there's too many villagers and not a big enough village. This tutorial is part of my advent calendar for December of 2020. Every single day in December, I'm releasing a brand new tutorial on the channel, some sort of farm, build, or redstone contraption for you guys to build and enjoy in your worlds. This marks about 2/3 of the way through the calendar, but I still have a lot of other really good stuff on the way. So if you're enjoying this video or the series in general, then of course make sure to leave a like on the video. It really does help out the video and the channel a ton. And if you're new here and you want to see a lot more tutorials like this on the channel in the future, then of course make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. And let's hop into the tutorial, shall we? For your convenience, there's going to be a full materials list down in the description of the video. That way you know exactly what you need to build this farm. You're going to need a 21 wide by 21 deep build area, and this is going to be a total of 12 blocks tall, but the actual build is only 11 blocks tall. The first thing that you want to do is find yourself a nice build area, somewhere flat with not much around the farm. As you can see, we're in the middle of a plains biome. If you build the farm like right next to this hill, for example, some iron golems or cats could spawn on that hill, so make sure there's nothing surrounding your iron farm. You will also want to build this about 100 or so blocks away from any kind of villagers or villager tech. That includes villagers, villages, beds, bells, and workstations. Don't build this close to any of that stuff, as all of that can canoodle with the farm and mess with it and possibly break it. So for example, our closest village is that one all the way over there, which is probably about 250 blocks away. So that is plenty far away and is never going to mess with our iron farm. We're going to start building in the middle of our build area and place down a 3x3 platform of solid blocks. We want to break out one of the corner blocks and then mine downwards in all of these spots by 2 blocks. Place down yourself a double chest for storage, a hopper going into the back of that chest like so, and then a campfire above that. This campfire is going to kill all of the cats. That way they drop you string and they don't lag out the world by existing. We're now going to go ahead and put some glass blocks in this area just to contain the cats, and we also want to put a little border of glass going all the way around this 3x3 area. This little border needs to go all the way around, and it needs to be a 2-block tall wall as well, so just go ahead and build that up in all of these areas. We can now start building the spawning platform. The spawning platform is going to be right here at this layer, and it needs to be made out of solid blocks. It cannot be made out of upper slabs, as iron golems don't spawn on these things. So you can use cobblestone, stone bricks, whatever kind of solid block you'd like, that'll work just fine for your spawning platform. The spawning platform is going to be 19 by 19 in total, meaning that we need to go out 8 blocks in every direction from the tops of these walls. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then on this side, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once you've branched out a couple times, go ahead and connect up the corners of your branches, and then of course fill in the solid blocks in between them, and do that on all 4 sides of your build. And that is what your first spawning platform should look like. We're now going to go ahead and build the railings around the entire platform. So from the corners, you want to branch out with 2 solid blocks in these locations like so, and then go all the way across in lower slabs just to contain the water. Once you get to the corners, of course, have solid blocks like so, and basically do this going all the way around. Now it's time to install the platform where your beds are going to go, so go to the center of the farm and build up by 3 blocks, and we're going to place some temporary blocks right over the center 3x3 of the farm like so. Now go ahead and build a 2-block platform going all the way around the center 3x3, and this is going to be enough room for all 20 of our beds. So simply put, just put a little platform going all the way around like so, and this just needs to be 2 blocks wide. So once we get all of our beds on here, every single block of this little extension is going to be filled in. You want to make sure that there's no beds in the central 3x3, that way iron golems can fall down whenever you decide to add the second spawning layer to the farm. So go ahead and place in your 7 beds on this side, flip around and place in the other 7 beds on this side right here, and then 3 beds, and then another 3 beds in this area right here. You can now go ahead and remove the temporary platform of blocks. Now we're going to install the water for this platform, so go to one of the corners, place a solid block right in the corner, and then slabs on those blocks right there. We now want to place a water source on that block. Skip this block right here. If you place a block right here, that is going to flood the entire platform with water, so do not place, water in that block right there. Anyway, so you want water source right there, skip that block, and then water source is going all the way across the entire farm, and then you get to this corner, solid blocks, slabs, water source, skip a block, water going all the way across, and then you repeat that process until the entire platform has water on top of it. And if you've done everything correctly, all the water should flow directly to the edge of your 3x3, but it should not flow over. This is going to push all of the iron golems and all of your cats directly into your kill chamber. And now it's time to install your villager containment cell. So line yourself up at the center of the 3x3, place in yourself a solid block right here level with your slabs, and now we need to surround this with a glass 2 blocks tall on all sides. And now go ahead and put yourself in a dispenser facing directly into this area. It has to be a dispenser. We're going to put a button on that right now as well. And that is going to help us place water at the villagers' feet once we have them inside the cell. If the villagers are standing in the water, then they will never unlink from their workstations or their beds, meaning that you never have to mess with these guys ever again. A quick note about the workstations that you should use in your iron farm. These are the only 6 workstations that are going to work for this build. The reason why we need to use these 6 is because these professions all work during the rain, so you're going to get maximum iron even if it's raining or thundering out. And furthermore, all of these are a full block, and the villagers will not be able to clip through these or escape. We'll be able to use them to contain all of your villagers right in between them. Out of all 6 of these blocks, I would highly recommend just using the fletching table, simply because this one is so cheap and easy to get your hands on. And now it's time for the funnest part of this build, and that is getting villagers for your iron farm. Now, something very important that you need to know is you need a specific type of villager. First of all, you cannot put babies into your iron farm. These guys don't work because they're lazy and therefore will not spawn iron golems. Nitwits also cannot be used. These guys are the green coats and you will never be able to trade with them. They also do not work because they are extra lazy, so they will not spawn iron golems. You can also not use a villager that has been traded with before because their profession is now locked in and they will not be able to link to your workstations. So what you ideally want is a fresh, brand new, clean vanilla villager from a villager breeder, for example. This guy just has a standard brown coat. You won't be able to click on him, and he can link to any workstation and become any profession that he wants. What I would recommend doing is building a very small, easy, simple villager breeder like the one I just did a tutorial on a couple of weeks ago. That'll get you 10 or 20 villagers or however many you want, and then you can tear down that villager breeder once you have all the villagers you want and simply transport them into your containment unit. Now, transporting villagers is a really big pain in the butt. No matter how experienced you are with them, don't let them frustrate you. They're honestly just terrible and stupid in every way imaginable. Once you've built yourself a small villager breeder or otherwise gotten yourself villagers into this area, you'll want to get them up into a small box next to your cell, either using minecarts, boats, bubble columns, pathfinding, fear tactics, whatever you want to do. There are a multitude of different ways to get villagers into this cell. Once you got them into a little box, you can go ahead and just put yourself a button right above your containment area, block out a wall, and some of them will just pathfind straight in there, but otherwise you can place a bucket of water in the corner and that'll push all of your villagers in there. Make sure you have exactly 10 villagers per cell. Anyway, once you got 10 villagers in there, you can tear down any infrastructure that you built to get them in there. Once you get the villagers in the area, they should automatically link up to those beds. You'll notice them getting green particles at one point or another. So for example, if we spawn in a new villager, he's going to get green particles, and so is the bed over there. Of course, we don't need him. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and place a line of glass blocks in this area right there, and then slabs above that to prevent iron golems spawning on it. You now want to go ahead and press the button on your dispenser to put water inside of that chamber right there. Once there's water in that chamber, we can start linking them to some workstations. So start from the bottom going up, break a block, place in a workstation, wait for it to get the green particles, and then place in the next workstation, going all the way around. In total, of course, you need 10 workstations, one for each of your villagers, and these guys should link up relatively quickly. If there's a lot of lag, then it can take a while, or depending on the update, they're just really slow to link, but if you give them a while, they will eventually link to their workstations. Anyway, you'll notice that on the cardinal directions, that is only 8 workstations. The 9th one is going to go right there, and the 10th one is going to go right there as well. And then we're just going to cover both of those in slabs. And now we need to finish up the kill chamber of our iron farm, so go into this area. You should have yourself some cats and some iron golems spawning really shortly. Place in yourself a button right there with a sign on that button, or you can just have 2 signs, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you now want to place a button at each one of these layers right here, and place yourself a lava bucket right above that sign right there. That is only going to kill the golems. Now go ahead and place a button right above that campfire right there as well, and that will stop the water from flooding the campfire. And finally, place yourself a water bucket in the far corner opposite of where the campfire is. That is going to push all of your cats directly into the campfire, so you can get some lovely, lovely string from them. It may take a couple of minutes for your farm to start producing iron golems, but once those guys have their workstations, and once you have all 10 of your villagers in there, it should start popping pretty quick. And there we go, just a moment later, we got ourselves our first iron golem. As you can see, he's now in the kill chamber, gonna die pretty slowly, and we'll get our first couple of iron ingots from our iron farm. The basic iron farm is now completely finished. This thing is already working really fast. We've gotten 3 golems literally within 1 minute. It's not normally that fast, so don't get your hopes up too much. Anyway, if you want to upgrade your iron farm to the intermediate version with 2 spawning platforms, you basically need to build this exact spawning platform, but 1 block directly above your beds. So crouch, place a block above your beds, and then branch out 8 blocks in every direction from the center 3x3 in between all of your beds. Basically, once you got your 8x8 branches made, connect the corners, and it's the exact same build process as the layer below. And voila, you now have yourself the intermediate version of the farm. If you're curious as to any of the details for how you build this platform, you can rewatch the earlier parts of the tutorial. It's literally a copy-paste of this platform, but right above the beds. It is so simple. And now it is time to upgrade the iron farm to its final form. This is incredibly easy. You simply need to get yourself another 10 villagers. The next villager pod is going to go completely opposite of that one, still lined up with the center of the 3x3 area. Place in yourself a solid block lined up with this layer of slabs, and then of course get yourself a 2x2 of glass surrounding this thing. You now want to go ahead and get yourself more villagers in this area, build another temporary villager breeder. By the way, building another villager breeder could break your iron farm temporarily, but once you remove the breeder, the iron farm should go back to functioning. Anyway, once you got your villagers, get all 10 of them in there, block them in, put water at the feet, link them slowly to each of the workstations, and it's the exact same process as that version over there. And once you have all 20 of your villagers installed, your final form of the iron farm is now completely done, and you should get around 440 iron per hour. Overall, it is a very simple build process, it's a very easy upgrade process, and I hope you don't have too much issues building this in your worlds. I've designed it and specifically tried to make this farm as easy to build as I possibly can. A final note that you may be interested in knowing is that it's actually going to be super dark underneath your iron farm, even during the day. So you might want to put down some torches in this area, simply so that no hostile mobs spawn in this area during the day or the night. As a last minute troubleshoot for the farm, if you notice that you're having iron golems spawn on the edges, either for the top or the bottom layer, all you gotta do is put a layer of solid blocks here and then slabs above that, and that should prevent iron golems from spawning there or getting pushed there from the water. They shouldn't be able to spawn on this in general, but you know what? Bedrock Edition is weird. Sometimes they might end up there. As for the bottom layer, you might need to put 2 layers of solid blocks and then slabs. That way they don't spawn, like, you know, in between here and there. You might also want to do this for the corners if you notice that you're having issues. In general, just fill it in with solid blocks. They won't spawn inside of solid blocks. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's iron farm, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can, but otherwise I hope that you enjoy this build in your world and enjoyed this tutorial as well. If you did enjoy the tutorial, then of course make sure to leave a like on the video and possibly share it around with others. Doing those two things has a massive impact on the channel and really does help a ton, so thank you so much for doing that. If you're new here and you want to see a lot more tutorials like this in the future, then of course consider subscribing, that way you don't miss any. Otherwise, I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one. Thank you again for watching, and then there was silence.